support was a foremost concern for the American military. Helicopters quickly proved their merit in this role, and the Huey paved the way for armed close air support. Although helicopters retained a mobility advantage over the fixed-wing aircraft, the firepower and speed offered by airplanes such as the A-10 Skyraider led many to believe a new fixed-wing aircraft was needed to fill the role of close air support.
The A-10 Skyraider really illustrated a need for a aircraft that was maneuverable, close to the ground, close to the bad guys, where you could look out the window and see what you were attacking, to differentiate between the friendlies and the bad guys in a very reliable manner.
Fairchild Republic delivered the first production model of the A-10A to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in October of 1975. The suggestion that the plane be called the Warthog in honor of Republic's hog lineage, and given the ugliness of the airplane, did not sit well with the brass of the Air Force. The plane was officially named the A-10 Thunderbolt II in honor of the legendary performance of the original Thunderbolt in World War II. But to its pilots, and ultimately to anyone familiar with it, this airplane has only one name.
The A-10 basically is a gun that they decided to make fly. It's a 30mm, 7-barrel Gatling gun, shoots at 4,200 rounds per minute, and they bolted wings, a fuel tank, a pilot, and some engines on it, and it goes out shooting at tanks and any other targets of opportunity. This is a 30mm round. It's a training round. It's been polished as a presentation round, but this is the size of the actual round. Projectile is up here. You can see 30mm is the width, the diameter of the projectile. And as you can see, it's quite a large round. It weighs about 1.5 pounds per round. And our planes carry 1,150 rounds of this. To give you some idea how long the gun system is the gun barrels actually end here, and the gun barrels start about here. The gun rotor is in this area. The hydraulic drive mechanism, the two drive motors, are here, and the ammunition drum starts about here and extends all the way back to here. As you can see, everything from forward of the wing is devoted almost entirely to the gun system. The pilot's floorboards are actually the mounting surfaces on some of the gun structure. And with the exception of the electronic controls and the battery, almost everything is the gun.
When the Air Force drew up the specifications for the plane, they wanted the capability to kill tanks. Early on in the design process, Fairchild Republic decided a 30mm Gatling gun would be the ideal weapon of choice. But the sheer size of the 20-foot GAU 8A Avenger cannon presented a design problem for which there was only one solution: design the plane around the gun. The Avenger is a 7-barreled 30mm cannon which delivers a frightening burst of destruction. The gun fires shells which are a foot long and weigh nearly 2 pounds. Fully loaded, the gun weighs 2 tons.
Well, the gun's a 30mm. It's the largest gun, in an airplane. A fighter-type airplane. There's some transports that carry bigger guns, but it's very precise.
Such precision allows hog pilots to hit targets up to 2 miles away, and with a muzzle velocity of 3,450 feet per second, the gun can fire an average of nearly 70 rounds per second. One shot can destroy a tank.
Projectile itself is exceedingly lethal. In its anti-armor form, the armor-piercing incendiary a very small slug of depleted uranium is actually what's delivered on target. And it strikes the target with almost 12 times the kinetic energy of its predecessor 20 millimeter round. Even though it's only 50% larger in linear dimension, it has 12 times the kinetic energy on target.
The tremendous recoil force of the gun led to its positioning slightly offset to port, so that the firing barrel is exactly on the center line. This avoids the problem of asymmetric recoil forces.
It produces as much recoil as the engines produce in forward thrust. Theoretically, if you had the ammunition and could hold the trigger down long enough, the airplane would come to a complete stop because the gun would win the tug-of-war.
The 19,000 pounds of recoil forces dictate that the Avenger is usually fired only in short bursts of about 2 seconds, an exercise which also avoids ammunition wastage and barrel overheating. Despite its incredible power, the gun is by no means the only threat the Warthog poses to enemy forces.
The A-10 is an attack airplane, and that's a euphemism for bomber. It does primarily drag bombs around the sky, although we tend to employ the gun whenever possible because the gun does give us the option of standing off from the target, sending ordnance a mile and a half downrange, and then actually departing the target area without having to overfly the target. However, the airplane can carry up to 16,000 pounds of releasable external stores, and that I think you'll find if you check your history books is about 4 times what a World War II B-17 could carry.
The A-10 carries its massive load of 16,000 pounds of mixed ordnance on 8 underwing and 3 under-fuselage pylon stations. These 11 hardpoints allow the A-10 to be armed according to the task at hand.
This right here is a ECM 184 pod. It's an electronic jamming device. This is a Mark 82. This right here is a cluster bomb.
The variety of armaments available to the Warthog is extensive, including AGM-114 Hellfire anti-tank missiles, Sidewinder missiles, and a selection of both smart and dumb bombs.
Although we carry dumb bombs or unguided bombs, we have a state-of-the-art delivery system. It's called CCIP, constantly computed impact point. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to deliver stupid bombs or dumb bombs with great precision.
But the typical combat loadout of the airplane then would include the 30 millimeter cannon and almost 1,200 rounds of 30 millimeter ammunition, plus 6 bombs, an assortment of Maverick missiles, the air-to-air missile, which we carry, the AIM-9 Sidewinder missile, which we carry for self-defense.
Armed to the teeth, few can challenge the firepower of the Warthog, and none can dispute its toughness.
The airplane, has often been said, and more often as a form of criticism rather than praise, that this is the only airplane that the Air Force ever bought that was designed to take hits, not avoid hits. And it's quite true. The airplane was designed to take hits and absorb damage and survive.
Every aspect of the Warthog can be traced to the simple concept that the airplane had to survive its grueling mission.